Ever wonder what the world's wealthiest billionaire, the kind of person who controls the global economy, has in common with the most secretive military intelligence unit on the planet? It's not money, and it's not political power. It's the vehicle they choose to trust with their lives. Today, I'm taking you inside the world of the Gulfstream G550. To the untrained eye, it might look like just another expensive toy for the ultra-rich. Something to sip champagne in while crossing the Atlantic. But peel back the luxury leather and the wood veneer, and you'll find a machine with claws sharp enough that air forces around the world have bowed down to it, drafting it for their most critical missions. But here is the kicker. The biggest secret isn't the tech, it's the price tag. I'm going to show you why the smart money, the truly wealthy investors who treat aviation as a tool, not a vanity project, are actively ignoring the shiny new models just rolling off the production line to hunt down this specific, out-of-production jet on the used market. Why is a discontinued plane the hottest asset in aviation? Why is it considered immortal, holding its ground while newer jets depreciate into oblivion? And why is a price gap of over $60 million something you simply cannot ignore? Today, I'm telling it like it is. We are doing a deep dive, leaving no stone unturned. When you hear the name Gulfstream, the first image that pops into your head is probably a CEO in a bespoke suit stepping off the jet with a six-figure briefcase, right? It's basically the Rolex of the skies, a symbol of having made it. But did you know that the most loyal customer, the one who gets the absolute most value out of the G550, isn't a Hollywood A-lister or a Wall Street tycoon? It's the air forces of the world's superpowers. So why does a civilian aircraft designed for comfort end up on the battlefield? One word: durability. Let's paint a picture of who actually trusts their life to this machine. Start with the big boss, the United States Air Force. They don't use the G550 for sightseeing. They gave it the military designation C-37B. This is the chariot for VVIPs. Everyone from the Vice President and the Secretary of State to combatant commanders. It's used for high-stakes diplomatic missions where failure is not an option and arriving late isn't an excuse. When global stability is on the line, they don't pick the newest plane. They pick the one that starts every time. Now, look over to Asia and the Middle East, the Israeli Air Force and Singapore. These two nations are known for being incredibly picky about their hardware. They saw potential that goes deeper than luxury. They took the G550, performed some serious surgery on it, and slapped massive radar arrays on the fuselage. It became the ATOM, or CAEW, Conformal Airborne Early Warning Aircraft. Think of it as a quarterback in the sky. It directs the battle and spies on the enemy. If a G550 CAEW is in the air, nothing goes unnoticed. And here is the proof of its legendary toughness. It carries tons of heavy electronic equipment, loitering on patrol for nearly 10 hours straight without breaking a sweat. It wasn't built for this abuse, but it handles it like a tank in a tuxedo. And it's not just the military. On the civilian side, the G550 is the ride of choice for legends who demand peak performance. Tiger Woods used one to fly to championships worldwide. Why? Because the G550 has a lower cabin altitude than most airliners, meaning less fatigue and better recovery, critical when you're competing at an elite level. Elon Musk, before he upgraded to the absolute latest flagship, flew a G550 for years to manage Tesla and SpaceX. Even Mark Cuban, the billionaire owner of the Dallas Mavericks, is a die-hard fan of this model. The question is, why? Why do people who have enough money to buy a small country choose an older G550? Because when you reach a certain level of wealth, or when national security is on the line, you don't always need what's newest or most expensive. You need what is 100% proven. The G550 has nearly 20 years of history and millions of flight hours proving that whether it's baking in a desert or freezing in the Arctic, this plane just works. That is the definition of a legend. But even legends have to evolve, right? The one thing that clearly marks the G550 as old school isn't the exterior. It's what's going on inside the cockpit. If you walk into the flight deck of a G550, the first thing you'll see is the massive yoke right in front of you. It's that classic U-shaped steering column connected to a hydraulic system. Pilots have to use physical force, muscle memory, and feeling to pull and turn. It's the art of flying, an analog feel in a digital world. There are hundreds of tactile buttons. The instrument panel looks like a space shuttle from the 90s. For veteran pilots, this is heaven. It's tactile, it's direct. There is a raw connection between the human and the machine. You feel the air over the wings through that yoke. But cross over to the younger siblings, the G600 or G700, and it's a totally different world. Gulfstream's new generation ditched that bulky yoke entirely. They replaced it with what's called active control side sticks. It's a joystick on the side console. It feels like you're piloting a sci-fi starfighter or playing a high-end flight simulator. The space in front of the pilot is suddenly wide open, giving them room to work and a better view of the displays. Now, the cool factor isn't just about looks. It's about the force feedback system. In the past, on other fly-by-wire planes, if the captain pulled back on their stick, the co-pilot wouldn't physically feel it. This disconnect could lead to confusion in an emergency. But in this new system, the sticks are electronically linked. If the captain moves their stick left, the co-pilot's stick moves left in real time. This makes communication in the cockpit perfect. Pilots know exactly what the other person is doing without saying a word, reducing the risk of dual input, where two pilots fight for control. A scenario that has caused accidents in the past. The new cockpit is clean, minimalist, and dominated by massive touchscreens like huge iPads. It's beautiful. It's futuristic. But it also makes some old-school pilots grumble that it feels too much like a video game and lacks the soul of flying. Hey, to each their own. But you can't deny that this tech makes flying easier and vastly safer. Now, we arrive at the most critical point. The reason you clicked on this video. Let's talk about money. Let's say you have buy a private island kind of money, and you want a Gulfstream to fly to London for a meeting. You walk into the showroom. The sales rep is going to push you toward the G700. The flagship, the top dog, fresh out of the box, smelling like new leather. The price tag? About $79.5 million. You heard that right. Nearly $80 million for the pinnacle of aviation engineering. But hold on. If you walk out of that showroom and check the used market, you can find a pristine G550, low hours, hangar kept, waiting for you for around $15 million. Let's be real for a second. That is a price gap of over $60 million. I want you to ask yourself, would you spend an extra $60 million, which is enough to buy 4 more G550s, just to get what? To arrive 15 minutes earlier? To have a cabin that's a few inches wider? Or to have touchscreens in a cockpit you aren't even flying? For the smart money, the billionaires who stay billionaires, they see right through the game. They know the G550, even if it's yesterday's tech, gets them to London just the same. They can sip the same wine. But most importantly, they understand depreciation. The moment you sign for that brand new G700, its value falls off a cliff. You lose millions in the first year alone. It's like setting a pile of cash on fire just to say you have the newest toy. But with a used G550, the price has already bottomed out. The massive depreciation curve has already happened to the previous owner. You buy it for $15 million, fly it for 3 years, and you might sell it for close to what you paid. That is how you protect your wealth. To make this crystal clear, I've put together a head-to-head comparison table. The price, the specs, and the real cost of ownership. If you want to own this legend, here is what your bank account needs to look like. Looking at those numbers, do you see why I call it smart money? The most interesting line isn't just the purchase price. Look at the fixed cost per year. The G550 is cheaper to own by about $250,000 a year. Why? Mostly because of hull insurance. The plane is worth less, so it costs less to insure. It's simple math that adds up to massive savings over 5 or 10 years. But every coin has two sides. I have to tell it like it is. I don't want you to only see the good stuff and miss the cold hard facts. If you look at the variable costs per hour, you'll notice the old G550 is actually slightly more expensive to fly. About $200 more per hour. This comes down to two factors. Number one, engines. The G550's Rolls-Royce BR710s are older tech. They're thirsty. They burn more fuel than the sleek new engines on the G700. It's a muscle car versus a modern hybrid situation. Number two, maintenance. It's an aging aircraft. Parts have life limits. It's like owning a classic car. Sometimes it needs a little more love and care than a car fresh off the lot. You might face more hangar downtime for inspections than you would with a brand new jet. So, here is the winning formula for the G550. If you fly between 200 and 300 hours a year, which is the average for most wealthy individuals, the G550 is the best value proposition on planet Earth. The slightly higher maintenance costs are peanuts compared to the $60 million you saved up front. However, if you are a global titan flying 500 or 600 hours a year, living in the sky more than on the ground, that is when the G700 starts to make sense. The fuel efficiency and the speed savings start to add up, or, at the very least, it justifies the emotional cost of wanting the absolute best. At the end of the day, the Gulfstream G550 teaches us a valuable lesson. In the world of technology and machinery, new doesn't always mean best. The G550 is proof that great design, durability, and reliability are what create true value. It's the aircraft that bridges the gap between the military war room and the corporate boardroom. It is the perfect intersection of performance and price that is almost impossible to find elsewhere. If you had to choose a partner to fly you through a storm, to close a billion-dollar deal, or to fly your family safely to the other side of the world while keeping a fortune in your pocket to invest elsewhere, I think you know which legend is the real winner. What about you guys? If you had the cash sitting on the table, are you Team Legend, the G550, or Team Future, the G700? Let me know your reasons in the comments below. I want to see the debate. I'm Mick, signing off for Pacific Steel. I'll see you in the next video.